All right. Welcome to the Barbell Strikes Back. I'm James McDermott, joined by Miguel Porter. Miguel, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. How's it going so far?
It's going good. It's going good. This is like that on-air Happy New Year. Like, of course, we've said Happy New Year to each other already, but like we have to do this for the optics,
Yeah,
the show lore. But it's going good. In the last show, we talked all about our goals and things that we're trying to change for the new year. I kind of viewed the first on Wednesday to now as like let's like test things out and get it going. Like it's not the
right.
first full week of the year. Have you been kind of doing that?
Yeah, it's still holiday-ish time and the weird midweek change of everything. So, yeah, I think starting tomorrow is like the new year.
Yeah. I got up today and I thought it was Monday. Like no joke. Like I was ready for Monday. And even though I was like, wait a minute, we're doing the podcast today, it just feels like today should be Monday for whatever reason. I have no idea why. It's actually probably because the last whole 2 weeks have been like a Saturday, like a weekend. It's been
Yeah,
weird. So I maybe that means I'm ready to get started. And some of the things that I'm working on, I actually started last Monday. So before the new year, I'm like, let's start practicing stuff. Let's get all the things we need to do, trial and error. And it's okay to kind of change things, right? Like
right.
maybe you're like, you know what, 3 times a week, that's not going to work. I need to do this or that. Have you noticed there's anything that you need to change based on what we talked about last?
I don't think that I've even really began. Again, just like holiday week overall,
Uh-huh.
going from Wednesday till now, I think it's like, all right, get it out of your system and
Yeah.
then restructure. Because I feel like even just my regular routine of like the good stuff, I guess you could say, quote unquote, were kind of falling off just because of like, oh, I'm going to my parents' place for dinner or I'm doing this or that. So overall, my like regular time that I'm going to bed, how many times I'm cooking during the week has been off. So it's like
Yeah.
reset now. This past week, we anything, but now it's like fresh year, fresh week, start.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm similar. Some things I've been successful at, like the core 365, been doing it every day, 7K steps plus every day. Although I drove out to Afton, New York this morning to see my mom. So, like, you don't realize, like, when, like, all right, I got to get my steps in, and then you're in a car, you're like,
Yeah.
crap, I'm burning a lot of time that I'm not stepping. And also, I left my pedometer here in Albany. I
Mm,
just went out the door and I'm like, darn it, I'm not getting all these steps walking around my mom's house. So, but like that would have been like 300 steps. But
yeah.
I've been successful with these movement things, which remember, that's my priority. I want that to be the non negotiable. And the cool thing about the steps is, since it's kind of on my mind, it forces me to step away from this computer and be like, all right, I'm going to take a break. We got that email done. We got this project done. Now I'm going to go and I'm going to walk around the apartment and like move stuff around the kitchen and clean a little bit, or even just walk around and uh, whatever it may be and bank some steps. Versus
Right.
before, I would have been like, all right, email done, on to the next one, on to the next project. And you just keep going because there's a pile. It's just a big pile right here. And you want to get it down, but it always keeps filling back up. It's a
Yeah.
um, never ending thing. So that's all been going good. And I already did some of my nighttime reading. I finished one story already, so that's good. There's things though that I haven't been able to fit in, and that's why these couple days have been good to kind of say like, what's realistic
Right.
or what's not going to kind of like be weird in my plan. Like I want it to be in the sauna every day, and I haven't done that yet because if I'm in the sauna, then I gotta shower afterwards. I want to shower. But now the
Hmm.
placement of the shower in my day is not at the beginning of the day. Like I'll wake up and do like a refresh and all that stuff, but I don't want to get in the shower because I prefer to do that later in the day before I go to work. So
Yeah.
it's just the placement of things. And then if I shower first thing in the morning, Well, then I'm going to work out, and then I'm going to go to work, and I'm going to need another shower. Like, I don't
Yeah.
have to shower twice in the day. So figuring this out, which I know that's easy to do, like just get in the shower, but like I'd have things perfectly placed, and I want them to be like I only have to do it once. I don't want to
Yeah.
do it
And that
multiple
makes
times.
sense. I mean, the things that we're adding in aren't supposed to be a nuisance. It should be
Yeah,
something that, feels positive and not like work all the time.
yeah, yeah. Even though I can see the steps maybe being work on a day like today, but luckily I have to do my beginning of the week shopping and stuff, and
Yeah.
it's kind of feeling like today could be. I don't know if you ever get in this mode. It's typically between like 8 and 10, where you're like, I'm gonna start cleaning, and you put on the music, and the shuffle hits just right. It's like
Mm,
the DJ is doing a great job,
yeah.
variety songs you haven't heard in a while, and you're just in a flow of like wiping things down and getting stuff done that you've been neglecting. And for it's always like 8 to 10 p.m., like right in that window for whatever reason, and you're just like, yeah, I'm really enjoying this. I could do this for a living, like kind
Yeah.
of. You ever get in that flow?
Yeah, definitely. Mine is definitely earlier in the day. If I'm cleaning, it has to be a lot earlier. But
Uh-huh.
no, I totally get it.
Yeah. So it's kind of feeling like that might be a day, which, hey, that's going to get me the steps. I'm surprised how many steps I get when I am like doing projects around the house. They add up really quick. You
Yeah.
don't realize how many times you go in and out of one room,
Hmm.
just going all over the place. So overall, I'm happy with how things are going, and I think it's important that we all realize being perfect isn't necessarily the goal.
Yep.
Just building a consistent foundation is the goal. That this is a really easy time of year where you had one breakdown in your diet 13 days into the new year, and now forget it. It's gone. But like there's 365 days in the year. If you let one day, or one meal or whatever it is, derail you, and then you don't get back onto it until August when you're already it's summer is already in well underway, and you're going to try to get in a little bit of shape. It's like you just could have just got back on the next day, and that's
Yep.
always an important thing. There's a clean slate the next day or the next meal. You go out to breakfast with friends or something, and you had some pancakes and stuff, and that wasn't in your diet plan. There's still a lunch where it doesn't have to be like that. There's still a dinner, like or there's just the next day. Do you do that, or have you done that where like you just, I guess, throw the baby out with the bathwater to some extent on
Yeah.
when something
There
goes wrong, everything is wrong?
there are some days like that for sure. Um, but I do try to do the opposite of like, okay, I know I'm going out to lunch today, or maybe for breakfast, I went to Stewart's and I just grabbed something from their whatever that they had.
Yeah,
Um, now I have to make sure that these next meals are better. Or, yeah, some days it is just like, well, we lost it today,
yeah,
but tomorrow we'll start again. And I'm
yeah.
pretty good with like starting fresh if I need to. Cause some days it's like, even for like mental health, it's like, no, just do whatever you want today. It'll be better for you overall if you just kind of lean into it for today and then start fresh.
Exactly. You have to see the mental health is great. How everything plays into that. Because if you don't have that, that's kind of foundational too. You're not doing well. How are you supposed to do well with everything else that's happening? Because everything else will affect that. So
Yep.
it's okay if you go to the movies and you get a large popcorn and you're like, what, this is what I wanted to do today. Like lay off me, bro. This I just want to do this,
Yep.
and I'm okay with it. And it also means that all of a sudden my lifestyle is not going to change erratically and dramatically in the next week, months, and the rest of the year
Yeah.
because it doesn't have to. And it's always amazing to me. I mean, I like to be not perfect, but like I'm like a list checker, and like a streak thing. So like with reading the Bible, I want to do it every day, and I have my little streak counter. Now
Yep.
there's the core 365. Of course, I want to get 365, if I was someone who did the whole Pokemon thing, I want to obsessively catch them all, you
Hmm.
know. And then the thing is, like, if you don't, it can affect you in a negative way. And it's always amazing to me how when people are just starting off in their fitness journey or whatever it may be, they want it to be so perfect, and they just throw away all the food. They do all this thing. It's like,
Yeah.
man, you are already kind of setting yourself up for failure on this. This is not how you've been living. Going cold turkey in your entire lifestyle, I think, works very rarely for many people.
Yep. Agreed.
So yeah, so the New Year's going well. I like to use this time of year too on doing things for future James. Like in this first like month or couple weeks, I'd like to get like all of my personal numbers for my taxes done. Like how
Mm.
many miles did I travel, all that stuff. That way, when I do get my tax documents in, I can just send it all off to the my accountant instead of, all right, let me look through my receipts now and stuff, because it is that down time of year right now still.
Yeah.
So I can do that for future James. That way, oh crap, taxes are due in a week and he doesn't have to scramble when I already know he's going to be busy in March and April. Um, Little things like changing out the shower filter, or like things that like you would do every like 6 months or so. I like to do them now. That way I know in my calendar, check it again in June and
Yeah.
or July. So that's like, it's still prep time for the year right now. Do you do stuff like
Definitely.
that?
Yeah. Even like scheduling maintenance on my car, finally
Yep.
doing that for the dealership, because it's never the moment that you need it. The dealership is always booked out for like at least a couple weeks, especially
Yeah.
for the specific time that you may need. So setting those appointments up, doing, yeah, like my little planning as well, putting in my time off at work and getting my calendar really set so that when the time actually comes around, putting in any like, I'm big with like my trips of paying for everything way beforehand. So by the time it comes around, I'm like, good. I've almost like
Yeah.
forgotten about the money that I've spent because I did it way before. And just having everything booked out and ready to go is kind of what I'm doing now.
Yeah. It really helps. I have dentist appointment coming up. I have a car appointment coming up, and then like, yeah, see you again in the summer or whatever it is we want to do.
Right.
It definitely helps. It's kind of like I only did this ever once in college, where my last semester I did the majority of my projects, essays, and everything in the first 2 weeks of class. Like, we're not going to play Fallout 3 on the weekend. We're like all day just getting it done, and then I cruised the entire rest of the semester.
Yep.
I was even able to like have like meetings with like my professors. Like, can you just look at this project? And went during office hours, and they looked through it like, wow, you're like 90% done. Just fix this. And I got amazing. I got dean's list and president's list. And
Yeah.
like, I did, when everyone else was doing all their projects at the end of the semester, I was like, yeah, I'm ready to be done. And when I was like, I totally wish I would have done this all the other semesters. This is
Yeah.
my last
Definitely.
one. But my life felt so easy doing it that way, because all these little things we're talking about, not only the goals we have for ourselves, but like the dentist, doctor's appointments, trips, things in your calendar, changing the shower head, all this stuff, it all adds up to a giant pile that people have trouble dealing with,
Yeah.
especially if you don't know how to triage it and you just start picking away at the little easy things and you have those big things that keep compounding. That it makes life very stressful, and
Yeah.
people are like, how do you, like, you don't seem stressed at all the time, or things like that. It's like, well, one, like, I have some of that, of course, during the busy times, but because I do this type of prep, it helps a lot. It helps a lot. So yeah, hopefully other people start doing that if they don't already, or
Yeah.
if someone listening has a better trick or something that we don't have, let us know. um and you just, going back to the beginning of the year here, this last little stretch of days, you had a coaching PR, Coach Fran, on New Year's Day. So first New Year's Day WOD, and coaching Fran, two coaching benchmarks at the same time at our gym. How do you feel about it? How do you feel about how it went?
Good. Honestly, I look back in Wodify for every like January 1st for like the past couple of years, and I was like, okay, this is about the average amount of people who show up on the first. So it'll be around like 6 people. It'll be super simple. We'll just, even like there were some names overlapping where I'm like, they're typically here on the first. So I
Yeah.
know I'll have this, like these people here. Cool. I know how this is going to go. And then as time went on and more people signed up, and yeah, but it was fine. I actually really like coaching a bigger group. I think it allows me to, I guess you could say, like triage a little bit better, like moving around and knowing like, okay, I know I have to hit these people, like how it went. Also, like we had a couple newer people or a
Yeah.
couple people to like check in on um, with certain movements throughout. And I think that kind of helps you with that as well. But it went well. I had a good time and it seemed like people enjoyed. So, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. People were working hard. I was watching. Um, we started and finished, like no one died. I think we were a little over, so I don't know if that was your goal to finish on time. I know that's a pet peeve of yours, right? Like you try to make sure you're getting it done.
I've become a little less with that. I thought we were going to go super. I think what it was, we were breaking down with like a minute or two over the hour, um, which I was actually surprised about once we started going because I thought that we were going to like really, really go over.
Yeah, it was like 11:02, 11:03, right as we were finishing, and then of
Yeah.
course we had like, let's take a picture. That doesn't count. That doesn't like
Yeah.
picture stuff. That doesn't count. No, I thought you did a great job. You had a nice plan. It looked like there was thought behind everything. I would say my biggest pieces of feedback kind of like intertwine with one another on using more names. Like if you're at the front of the room, like yell out Maria, Celestino, things like that. So I wasn't really hearing a lot of names. And then with that, not like there was a lot of opportunities to be yelling out cues and making cues. So like a lot of empty reps.
Yeah.
So I think if you're like talking to people actively during those pieces when you're doing the barbell work or something like that, that would help a lot. And also doing it from, you know, for every piece, every piece, just like make sure if you're helping the new person with the rings, which that's a challenge on its own, someone from across the room by yelling something out, and that might get the people. Remember how we talked about if you're at the one end of the room, you can get some people in the middle too.
Right. Yeah.
Was that something you were thinking about, or are you just kind of in the moment?
No, not typically. I mean, I think if you actually do notice a thing about me, I rarely use people's names just
Yeah.
in general. So that is something that I definitely should start working on. Um, but yeah, no, I totally get that.
It's like it helps with your relationship with them,
Right.
and when you're talking to them, like okay, he does know my name, and it also helps with the way that you're giving feedback. You're starting off with the thing that they like to hear the most, which is for many people is their own name.
Hmm.
So like hey Miguel, let's do this, or hey Miguel, push your knees back, something like that. And then I think not having as many empty reps, which it was the majority of the reps. I think I heard you give Celestino. Yeah, Celestino was there. It stands out to me because it was the one time I was waiting for it. I'm like, all right, there we go. We got one.
Yeah.
You told Celestino to do something with the barbell. I can't remember what it was. It might have been to have his chest up. So there's a lot of dead air,
Hmm.
if you will, that we can fill with coaching cues and corrections. And then with that, the third thing, so I'll just give you three things, would be there was a lot of downtime too within the hour.
Right.
And I think if you didn't have that downtime, you would have finished everything within the hour. Like
Yeah.
it would have been, you would have been done around probably like 10 or 10:50. So I don't know. Did you feel like there was some downtime or times where people are standing around or things, you were talking to individual groups instead of the whole group at the same time?
Yeah. Um, yeah, there were moments. I mean, as classes go, like people disappearing, and then is everyone ready? Oh, no one's ready. Okay, can we get ready? Kind of
Yeah.
stuff like that. But yeah, no, I mean, part of it was also not inevitable, but I felt that it would come to that. That's actually why I was surprised about the time that we did finish, because it did feel like there was a lot of downtime where I was like, all right, everyone should be like getting to it at this point.
Yeah.
But yeah, agreed.
Yeah, so that's mainly it. There's just a lot of downtime or times where you're coaching someone one on one, and the whole group isn't getting coached.
Yeah,
And some of those people that are like brand new or a guest or something, give them one thing and then you're out of there. And then
yeah,
just go. Like no one expects you to teach them from start to finish one on one and get them going perfectly right off the bat. Like
yeah,
that person, make sure they're safe, they're doing the motion, and that you're using simple, actionable cues to get them moving the way you want to. But then make sure that everyone else, especially in a group like that, like they may start to like get their own ideas because they've been around for a while. Then
yeah,
they start to leave the room. Then they start to do this or that, or forget that you told them to do something because they haven't heard your voice in the room for a while and they're not like moving. It's like, oh, he said we need to get things going. I think eventually you did come down on the group. You're like, what are you people doing, or something like that? Because
yeah,
there was a point where no one was ready on the setup or something. But overall, very very good class. Like these are the little things that we just want to do to
yeah,
tighten it up. That way you have enough time to do what you want to do, and we can finish on time, and it feels like the group is moving as a whole and moving more too, but also getting correction. um, I think the phrase I've seen out there is empty reps or no reps for coaches.
hmm,
So at least like for everything that you do, try to give 2-3 cues. So if you're going to do 3 hang power cleans, especially in the static positions, when you're holding them there and looking around the room, like none of it's 100% textbook perfect. So think about what are you looking for at that part in the progression, and that's the part that you're teaching and cueing.
yeah,
So if you're going to have everyone go down to the knees, you're looking to see what their knee and shin angle looks like, what their posture looks like, what the bar is doing, and then you're like, all right, this is the thing that I'm focusing on now, and then just boom boom boom, go around the room. Like look at what's Maria doing over there, what's Leone doing over there. Uh, I know in the last class I had Leone in a bunch of times. I was like, Leone, move your feet closer together, and then every rep, like I'm not letting it go. Like move your feet in, move your feet in. Why won't you move your feet in? Why are you trying to hurt me like this? Like the whole like just continue to hammer it, hammer it, hammer it, because they need that reminder.
yeah.
I was in my class that I taught, one of them that I taught recently. I was like, I told them, I'm like, my new motto is, I'm pretty sure I said that. Like
Hmm,
that's the first part of my coaching motto for 2025, and the second part of it is, I'm not crazy, you're crazy, because I did say that. I'm pretty sure I said that. I'm not crazy, you're crazy. And during the workout, we're warming up for the CrossFit Total. I clearly told multiple times, every time we had to turn our bodies sideways to the bar to do a stretch because we had them laid in front of us facing the garage door. I said, all right, everybody, turn and face the hallway. Let's go down and do these Spider-Man lunges. So I clearly said, I'm pretty sure I said that, turn and face the hallway. And sure enough, 2 people in class face the opposite way. So the majority of the group has heard what I said and they did what I wanted. I have 2 that heard what I said or weren't paying attention, or they heard what I said and didn't do it for whatever reason, or they weren't paying attention. This actually already lets me know that both of you are going to continue to do this on multiple things we go through during the workout. And one of these individuals who I've already mentioned, I have to keep reminding you to put your feet in a certain spot over and over and over again because you're not hearing me. So this actually lets me know you're not hearing me. But also, I'm not crazy. I did say that. And now I'm going to insist that you turn around and face the freaking hallway because I've asked you to do it. Like if I can't lose this battle right here off the bat, like
Right.
we're all doing it. So I'm setting the standard now. No, flip around. And the thing is, I'm not crazy for being the one to tell you to flip around while we do push-ups with a downward dog. You're crazy for not freaking doing it after the 5th or 6th time, right? So does my motto kind of make sense? Like,
yeah, no. And it's definitely like also just making sure that all bases are covered, like not leaving anything up for interpretation. Like I'm going to say it.
yeah.
So at the end, we know that it was said. Everything that you need has been said out loud, clearly.
Yeah. And it's super simple. Turn and face the hallway. Why are you facing away from the hallway? And the thing is, let's say if you were evaluating me, you clearly heard me say, turn and face the hallway. Now, when I don't correct the people that didn't face the hallway, now you are have to wonder watching this class, does he not see them not facing the hallway? Everyone else is facing the hallway, but those people aren't, right? So we can draw this parallel to coaching any movement, right? You heard what I said. You see that people aren't doing it. You might think now that I, as the coach, don't see it. And if I lay down my sword because, well, okay, well, that's just how they do it. They don't listen. They they always squat with their heels touching. That's Miguel's squat or whatever. It's all the same thing. See how it all comes together?
Right.
So I was thinking to myself, I want a coaching motto for the year, and that's it. And actually, I'm gonna add another another piece to it. Maybe it'll slowly grow. The last part of it should be, did I stutter? If you're an Office fan, you know that one when Stanley says to Michael, "Did I stutter?" And then that's when he's like, "Everybody put on a brave face," and then he clears out the room and he asks Stanley, "Why are you being mean to me?" Do you remember that
Yeah,
whole thing?
yeah,
Oh, it's great. Stanley's one of the best characters on The
yeah.
Office. I love Stanley, and actually, I'm seeing him now on a lot of commercials, and he seems younger now than when he was on the. It's weird than when he was on The Office. I
Yeah,
guess he
yeah.
played like an old man. He could have been in his 30s for all I knew in the old Office, but the way he acted was like
Right,
the paper stuff like that. Now I see him in commercials and he's like animated, and I'm like
right.
he looks so much younger now. He looks exactly the same, but he just looks youthful for some reason. I don't
Hmm.
know. You've probably seen the same commercial I've seen with him.
Yeah, yeah.
Every time I see it, I'm like, oh, it's Stanley, which I should learn his real name. Although some of the people on The Office, like Phyllis, his name is actually Phyllis.
Right.
Like they just used their name. I wonder if that actor's name is Stanley. But all right, anyways, that'd be kind of cool. I think I might add this to our coaching itinerary when I put out the next email reminding everyone of the new date that we're going to meet on. Maybe we'll add a homework assignment on, do you have a coaching motto for the year or something kind of like a charter? What's your thing? Do you have one already, or have you thought about it, or is this making you kind of think about what one could be for you?
Yeah, I guess I'd have to think about it at this point. Yeah, we'll see. Hmm.
Yeah, yeah, cool. Yeah, something to think about. I think it's a cool drill. I think I'll leave mine there. I like mine. Just those 3 sentences. Um, and that, yeah, yeah, that's my feedback for Fran. Just more names, less empty reps, and less downtime kind of
Right.
going on in the class. And there's other things that I think are more applicable to when we meet as a group for the coaches meeting, because I think it's something that all of us need to do more of. So I'll save those things for that. Yeah. Do you have any feedback for yourself? Like when you look back on it, do you give yourself a self-assessment after some classes, especially like kind of like an event style class like that?
Yeah, I would say that mine are probably similar to what you've already said. Um, yeah, definitely the downtime, and yeah, I would say like empty rep stuff too, where maybe in my head I'm like thinking of something, but I get either thrown off by something else, or, you know, you want to cover the room and you're not thinking about, or like sometimes you honestly just say things in your head, or like wait for the next rep and see if someone does it again, or, you know.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I would say all my feedback was probably similar to what you had. Um, and then yeah, there are like my own other things, like personal things that I'm like either looking out for, or like, oh, here's what I want to do next time or whatever.
Yeah. Did you hit your lesson plan the way you wanted to? Like you wrote down the progressions and this and that. Did you get all that stuff, or was there anything you had to change because it just wasn't working out?
Um, only like I think a lot of us do this anyway, interchanging, like maybe we write down reps and just go for a certain amount of time.
Hmm.
Especially with a larger class like that, I didn't want some people to be, you know, fully done with an exercise while somebody's still on like rep two. Um,
Yeah. Oh, you
so
mean like for the
that,
warm up?
yeah, like things like that. Progression stuff, I think we went through everything the way that I laid it out. Um, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So like from the outside looking in, everything was organized from start to finish. There was a progression through everything. We had a nice general warm up. I recognize that warm up, uh, but like it worked well. It flowed well. People were they were going. One of the new guys, it looked like he could have stopped there.
Right,
Like
yeah,
yeah, great workout. And it ramped up to that. And you guys did thrusters with the slam ball, right?
yeah,
So I like that on like hitting the main move before hitting the main move with something that's a little bit different, but not quite. And then you're going to get into the intricacies of it with the barbell, and you can kind of look down the row and be like, "All right, I got to be ready for that later when we get a barbell and wait." See, everybody hit this. I don't think anybody was close to 10 minutes. I think the slowest was shy, but not even really pushing the 10-minute mark too much.
hmm,
So we hit the stimulus. Um, yeah. From start to finish, like great. But now it's like, okay, how can we make it even better? Like, how can we
right,
really sharpen this up to like you want like think of like a class is like an orange. Like we squeezed a certain amount of juice out of it. How can we just like really just like they did a lot today. They learned a lot. They got even more out of it, and we still hit the stimulus, and we still were able to do X, Y, Z. And I'm glad you had to put the scores on the board. Um, did you do that today?
yeah, yeah. I mean, Sundays are weird because I kind of put it on the board at the end, and then by the time I write down like tomorrow's workout, like today I erase them
Yeah.
at the end. But I don't know. Yeah, it's good though
Yeah.
because it makes everyone like tell me your score. Okay, your score's already on the board. Put it in Wodify.
Yeah. Why wouldn't you put it in
Yeah,
Wodify? Come on now. Yeah, it is weird when you only have one class, or like when I come in to do the 5:15 and that's my own class of the day. Like, all right, it's on the board not for other classes. It's on the board for them and also for me because that's one of my coaching goals. I want to make sure I'm finishing on time and putting more emphasis on the last 10 minutes of class, really. Not like, all right, I'm going to use every ounce of class to get the workout to run right up to that so we can do a lot of stuff on the front end. I want that front end stuff to be bam, 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 concise, effective, and impactful. Hit the workout, and then we can like do more cool stuff at the end. And the flow that I'm thinking on, so that it's not two birds with one stone type of deal, is have them stretch while I'm putting the scores on the board. That way, we're not going to stand around and it maybe takes 2 minutes to get all the names on the board and go around the room and get all the scores. Now we stretch. I've been kind of doing those things at the same time.
Yeah.
So like, all right, everyone, let's do the, a pigeon pose. When I call your name, tell me to score. Boom, 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 boom. That's been working. It's like figuring out when some of these things happen. If it's during the bathroom break, that's another good time to start to write the names on the board, or as people come in, just start writing their names on the board. That way, it's already done. Yeah, there's different strategies with that. I like those options better than like, okay, let's do the scores as its own thing, and then now let's clean up and do stuff like just kind of like that can happen when other things are happening.
Yeah.
And if you want to, which you should, if you're going to coach specific things in a cool down, then okay, during the cleanup, which is a part of that 10 minutes, when I call your name, tell me what your score was.
Yeah.
So let's figure out where I'd like to place that. And there's some ideas for you as well. So let's take a look at this article. Well, let me share the screen. On my way out to Binghamton, I've never tried this before. The text to speak function on your phone. I had that read me the article. Like I'd skimmed through it yesterday and like took away big points. But I'm like, all right, I want to read it again or have it fresh. And as I was driving out to Binghamton, it read it to me. And I'm like, oh, this is great.
Huh. Yeah.
I do wish that I could customize the voice that's reading it to me. Like, wouldn't that be cool if you have like a Morgan Freeman reading you the article and stuff? That'd be cool.
Yeah.
But I've never done that before. It was helped me save time. So we have here Coaching the Mental Side of CrossFit by Greg Amundsen. It was posted to the CrossFit Journal on October 25th, 2017. And I'll just scroll down to the bottom so we have the bio readily available here. But Greg Amundsen serves in both the U.S. military and federal law enforcement, referred to his peers by his peers as the original CrossFit fire breather. Greg has been training and coaching CrossFit for over 9 years, and that was, of course, back in 2017. He, at one point, was teaching the CrossFit goal setting seminar, which is no longer a thing. And they actually did one of those at CrossFit Clifton Park when that was one of our businesses, and they were attached to Albany CrossFit. I did not get to go to that one, but I did read all the stuff afterwards, and some of it is actually in this article here. Have you ever heard of Greg Amundsen?
Maybe passively, but yeah, not of recent.
Yeah, he's kind of I don't know where he is now. Like some of these OGs, they kind of like fade away and start doing their own things, or maybe they're still out there, they're just not as vocal or as active in the community, because of course he's not teaching CrossFit seminars anymore, as far as I know. I don't know.
Right.
He has some books out that are probably worth reading that are on the motivational side or self-talk, goal setting, things like that. He has his whole Kaizen, thing, which I'm forgetting now what that means. I think it might be the will to win or something like that. And then the fire breather thing, that used to be a big thing back in like the early, like in like 2010, 2011, 2012. Like you don't really do you hear that term thrown around about like in referring to a CrossFitter, like they're a fire breather or something like that?
Maybe not with CrossFit right now, but definitely with other things.
Really? Like what? Like what?
I think it's like same idea of like sport type of deal, or like just someone who, in the context that I've heard it, it's more like is the example of this thing, or like will always tell you about it, and things along that line.
Yeah, that's cool. It's probably one of those things that just it was of course, because CrossFit things, it came from MMA or something else, or some other metabolic type of intense training, and then we adopted it. But I remember it used to get thrown around a lot, and I actually just looked it up. Kaizen is a Japanese term that means continuous improvement.
Hmm.
So that kind of falls into this, incremental progress, making small changes, consistency, collaboration, reflection. So it's a term that kind of like talks about improving your processes and building habits, which that makes sense on where the who this is coming from and also what this article is about.
Yeah.
So let's head up to the top here. Yeah, well, let's read through it and talk about it as we go. I'm sure you have spots that you've already looked at that like really spoke to you, or like were things that you thought were important to talk about, and I certainly have mine. Why don't you start?
Cool. All right. Several years ago, CrossFit founder coach Greg Glassman pulled me aside at a level 1 certification and said, "Greg, the greatest adaptation to CrossFit takes place between the ears." Greatly influenced by this remark, I set out to become a student of the mental aspects of CrossFit. Through observation, practice, and research, I discovered something remarkable. The world's best CrossFit athletes had learned to control and optimize their self-talk. This potent mental skill resulted in their ability to formulate and achieve their goals, both inside the gym and out, with consistency and grace. The natural extensions of their positive self-talk were an optimistic energy, a mental toughness, and an indomitable spirit evident in their physical accomplishments in the CrossFit workouts. I concluded that Coach Glassman was indeed correct. The mental adaptation to CrossFit was of critical importance to CrossFit athletes and coaches hoping to forge elite fitness. Now, nearly 4 years after the seed was first planted, I hope to share the key lessons learned as a result of the spark Coach Glassman set inside me.
It's funny. I feel like everybody has like their source of where they heard that line before on, making progress is the muscle between your ears,
Hmm.
type of thing. I know mine was not from CrossFit. Mine was well before CrossFit. And it was probably from like someone in the powerlifting world, like Jim Wendler or Dave Tate, or maybe even slightly adjacent to that, Eric Cressy. Do you remember where you first heard that the first time? The adaptations between your ears?
I mean, yeah, it's probably some movie, to be honest.
Yeah. Is it Rocky? Could it be Rocky? Is
I
it in there?
mean,
Maybe.
even if it's not Rocky, like there's so many others. I mean, even like it probably is before I've even seen Rocky. Like any like the old like Jackie Chan movies or even like
Yeah.
um you know, like any Bruce Lee stuff. Like that stuff is always in there.
Yeah. And it's always like a pivotal moment, like for people when they hear it. Like I've heard tons of people quote Glenn Penlay with the same quote. He said
Hmm.
to me one time, it's between your ears, the muscle between your ears and stuff. And then I know that Glenn wasn't the first person to say that, but it's always
Right.
like, when you hear it for the first time, you're always like, "Geesh, wow, that makes so much sense." All right, it's like an important milestone in an athlete's journey, to like getting better, to understand that you have to get your psychology right if you want your body to follow along.
Yeah.
It's very cool. So yeah, I was just it's just funny that he mentioned it here, and I'm like, yeah, wow, I've heard so many people say that and quote so many people as being the source. Are you gonna start saying that to some of the new people in class? That way, you can be the first person that told them that, maybe.
I mean, I'm sure that I've said some things that, if you hear something for the first time, like you really do attribute it to whoever you hear it from, even if it's
Yeah,
like, oh, I've heard that a million different ways from a million different people. That's why I'm not saying like this is my quote or like quoting who it was because I'm like, this is just a thing though.
yeah.
Yeah.
I know Mark Bell has his philosophy on you give credit two times or three times, and then it's yours.
Hmm.
Like something like that. Like so when he learns something, he'll be like, "Oh yeah, all right, so I heard this thing by Miguel Porter. He said blah 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 blah." And then after he's given you credit a couple times, then he's like, you know what? It's a part of me now. I'm saying
Yeah.
it so often, and it's a part of my mythos, my philosophy, my message, that I kind of can't have that. Yeah, I was talking to Miguel Porter or quote Miguel Porter every time. And also, I might start to change it a little bit. I think that's fair, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I think it's fair. Anything from this first paragraph? He's kind of just talking about the understanding of like, okay, I needed to hear that, to build that mental toughness and an indomitable spirit and get these physical accomplishments. I need to get my mentality on the right track as well.
Yeah. I think that pretty much sums it up. And yeah, he builds on it as we go. So
Yeah. So next paragraph here. For a coach at a CrossFit affiliate, understanding and ultimately shaping the way individual athletes talk to themselves and set personal goals are extremely important in the success of both the coach and athlete. Teaching the significance of positive self-talk and realistic goal setting is just as important as instilling a sense of virtuosity in the fundamental or foundational movements of CrossFit. Although taught, practiced, and learned inside the gym, these lessons have the potential to move outside the affiliate walls and continue doing what CrossFit does best, improving the quality of an athlete's life. This is a very important paragraph for sure. On the success of both the coach and the athlete. Like, this is a relationship. This is it's not a dictatorship all the time. And in order for both of you to be in order for one to be successful, you both have to be successful. What are your thoughts on this?
yeah. I guess this, like, as it goes on, it builds, but one of like the newer ideas for myself, I guess, as just being a relatively newer coach, um, and kind of what my role is. Yeah, was
Yeah.
something that kind of popped out to me.
And yeah, like understanding kind of where your role is in someone's life, right? You know, and figuring out what they want and helping them understand actually what is it do you want, because people may not know until you start to talk about it. And if you never talk about it, you're never going to find out data and information to help you improve the quality of their life. And that little statement there, improving the quality of an athlete's life, we all have an idea of what that means, but the person coming to you for help, whatever it may be, that's how you improve the quality of their life. It's their goal, it's their life, right?
Yeah,
Someone wants to do like a 5K race, and you're like, oh, those are dumb, they're bad for your knees, blah blah. But it's like, hey, that's what they need to do and want to do to improve the quality of their life. Like, you're not going to agree with all of it, but you can certainly help them with all these things.
yep,
Why don't you take us into setting a goal?
yeah. Setting a goal. The first step in goal setting is to understand and define our terms in the context of athleticism and personal achievement. To better serve the purpose of this article, I've created a new definition of the word goal. So his definition: goal, a specifically desired end state expressed in the positive tense, which provides motivation and direction on the path to achievement. You want me to continue, or
Yeah, yeah. Let's read this whole little thing here.
cool? In addition to defining our terms, 3 points of performance and goal setting will expand upon our definition and ensure the success of the CrossFit coach and athlete. The goal must be concise and specific. I want to complete 50 gymnastic kipping pull-ups in a single set. The goal must be expressed in the positive tense. I want to safely perform a backwards roll to support on the rings versus I don't want to fall off the rings while upside down. And the goal must include a time frame that is challenging yet realistic and achievable. The CrossFit definition of a goal is unique to our community for several reasons. By looking closer at the definition and associated points of performance, we can explore several ways a coach can maximize his or her athlete's adaptation to CrossFit both physically and mentally.
All right. A lot to unpack here. First, what do you think about the definition of a goal that we have here?
Yeah. I one thing that I like from it is the expressed in a positive sense.
Me
Um,
too. That's what pops out to me.
and I think that that helps in the making it specific is just here's the thing and here's what I want. Because if you go, here's what I don't want, then any other outcome could possibly be good.
Yeah.
So it's better to just say this is what I want and have an idea of what I want.
Yeah. The way you say things gives power to the words, right? So it's like, you know, I don't want to fall off the rings while upside down. Well, like if I'm about to go and do the skin to cat and you yell across the room to me, James, don't fall off the rings. I might be thinking, don't fall off the, like it's just
Yeah.
it puts it, don't throw an interception. Well, now I'm going to throw one. Like
Yeah.
it's like you're putting the negative into my head. Instead, there's other things you could say, like like James, keep the rings tight, or something, anything that has positive language. It's kind of like when you're at the whiteboard. A perfect example would be, let's say there's pull-ups in the workout. Instead of saying, if you don't have pull-ups, do this. A better way to say that would be, if you're still working on pull-ups, we can do some of these things. We can reduce the reps a little bit and still work on the pull-ups. We can hang from the pull-up bar and do this drill. We can get ring rows in and really work on our lats. Like, there's positive and negative ways to say the same thing, right? And
Right.
imagine you're at the whiteboard and it's Fran. We'll just keep using Fran as an example. All right, if you can't do thrusters with 95, 65 pounds, then you can, reduce the weight. If the number of reps is too many and you're going to be too slow, bump down the reps. If you don't have pull-ups, it's like now if you're the person that checks all those boxes, it's like, all right, since you're crap, you're not good enough to do this. Yeah, like you kind of see how like has that tone to it
Right.
a little bit, and how you can read that out of the way you're talking about it. So the way we say things right off the bat at the beginning of class is really, really important. I try really, really hard to not say almost ever, if you don't have muscle ups, if you don't have double unders. I try to say, if we're still working on them, here's some things we can do to get better at them. Um, I don't know. Maybe you've heard me say. I can't remember last time in a class I've said, if you don't. I don't know. Have you caught yourself saying that before, or do you know if you say it one way versus the other?
I'm not sure, honestly. When I think about it, I'm not sure on what I say. Um, but it's kind of like when I used to work at a pizza place, one of the owners there was telling me, like, never tell a customer that we don't have this. Like, we'll get it for them. But it's all about the framing, right? Of like,
Yeah,
oh, we don't have any fresh cheese slices right now that you want. Say, oh, we just threw a fresh one in. I'll get it to you in 10 minutes. Like, give them like the positive of like, oh, right now we don't have it, but you can get it in 10 minutes. Instead, just be like, yep, a fresh one will be right to you in 10 minutes, something like that.
yeah,
And then if they want to change their decision based off of that timing, then that's up to them, but never like tell them you can't provide them something. It's kind of like a similar idea here, I guess.
yeah. Because then you become the pizza place. Well, they never have it. They don't have it. They told me they don't have it. I'm going to go to the place next door, as opposed to, like,
Right.
giving them some hope that it's coming. I can't give it to you in this exact moment. Like I can't give you a pull-up, but hey, we're working on it. And that's a
Mm-hmm.
positive thing. Working on it is continuous improvement. Like let's work on it. And let me tell you how we can. Versus right off the bat, you can't do it. So since it also makes other options seem lesser, like by like a really bad degree, for lack of a better phrasing.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, you can't do pull-ups. Do these ring rows. These are for you. But like ring rows are still awesome. And if you've never done ring rows or haven't done ring rows because you always do pull-ups, try doing a ring row workout. It'll be one of the hardest things you do. When you can't kip or use momentum or do butterfly pull-ups. Miguel, when was the last time you did ring row, Fran?
Yeah. Never.
Never?
Yeah.
I bet if we had you do Fran with ring rows, where, since you have strong pulling strength, where the rings stay directly under the pull-up bar and your body's horizontal, it would be a whole different experience when you can't kip and you can't butterfly and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But now you're experiencing what they're going to experience. It's still hard, it's still valuable. Just like with double unders and single unders. Okay, we're going to do singles today. Before CrossFit, that's what everybody was doing. It's still a hard exercise. And there's so many people that can do double unders. You tell them to do single unders, and they're like, I don't know what to do with this rope anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So that's something to really think about. What is the language you're using with your class? It's also when people come to class telling everyone, oh man, this workout's so hard. This is a brutal workout. You're going to die today in this workout. I try not to say that anymore. I try again to frame it in the positive. So glad that you're here. We're going to have a lot of fun today. It's our weird brand of fun. It's CrossFit fun, but it is fun. I'm not trying to instill upon you that every time you come, it's the most awful thing that's ever going to happen in your life. I didn't want to go to when I was going to bed on Friday night, I was like, I'm going to bed way too late because I was finishing up Squid Game, and I was like, I could just cancel now, but me canceling. Wait, are you still there? Okay,
Yeah.
all right. Me canceling, I feel like is possibly a little different than other people canceling, because like I already said, I'm coming to class and I'm the coach. I'm trying to lead by example. So now if I cancel and don't come, it just feels different. Once I'm signed up, I gotta be in. There's no turning back now. So I didn't want to go in, and then I woke up and I'm like, it'd be so nice just to lay here longer. But then I know I'm just gonna lay there awake and not do anything. Let me just go. I went to class. Once we started moving, I was like, I'm so glad I came. And once the workout was done, I'm like, I don't regret that at all. Versus last night, I was regretting it. I was getting into the negative, but before the class.
Yeah.
So, but now imagine I come to class and I already feel that way. And then Josh is like, yeah, this workout sucks. It's going to be the worst thing that happens to you. Like that might not be motivating for the next session. And then he also told me that because I suck, I can't do toes to bar and I can't do the RX weight and I'm not going to get the row done fast enough. That's not a whole look at all the negativity around leading up to class and then the first 10 minutes of class.
Mm-hmm.
It's a different experience, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's what I mainly took out of this part, or what it reminded me of. Do you have any other thoughts on this?
Yeah. Agreed with, just the positive kind of talk.
I think that's something that we'll touch upon at our coaches meeting on just like there's a lot of little review and reminder things. Like it's the beginning of the year. Hey, let's talk about this. Let's make sure we're talking, we're using that positive talk. And I think what eventually we'll do is like, all right, I'm going to show up on a Saturday and film, or a Sunday, film your whiteboard brief. And then you'll be like, I can't believe I said that. Like, so sometimes you say things, you're like, oh, I didn't realize I was phrasing it that way.
Yeah.
All right. Let me read this next paragraph here. First, a goal must be specific. Before a coach can lead an athlete on the path to achievement, the coach and athlete must understand and agree upon the desired end state. The more focused the definition, the more opportunity there is for precise planning, preparation, and training. In addition, by specifically defining a goal, the CrossFit coach and athlete can evaluate with precision when the goal has been met. Makes sense. Second, a goal must be expressed by the coach and athlete in the positive tense in order to maximize human athletic potential and harmonize the mind body connection. Coaches must teach their athletes the significance and power of positive expression. The conscious and subconscious brain will either promote or inhibit athletic performance. If I tell myself continuously, I don't want to fall off the climbing rope, my subconscious brain, in fact, hears, I don't want to fall off the climbing rope. This is because the subconscious does not hear the negative tense. By telling yourself what you don't want to manifest, you actually create a blueprint for exactly what you intend to avoid. The key lesson for coaches, therefore, is to keep their athletes in a constant state of positive affirmation of the goal's desired end state. We've kind of already talked a little bit about this, but this is where you of course know Jim Storch, right?
Yeah.
You ever hear him when he's going like for a lift and setting up? You ever hear him say yes?
Yeah.
You ever hear that? He does that all the time. Yes is a positive thing. You know, I should ask him more specifically, and I will the next time I talk to him. But I always assumed that's his way of like hyping himself up. And if you're gonna hype yourself up or like, motivate yourself, it should be in this way, expressed in a positive way. You're like, yes, yes, you can. Yes, I can. And I try to do that during workouts where I'll tell people, "Hey, Josh, you're strong. You can keep going." Have you heard me say that before? When I tell people you're strong or yelled you're
Yeah.
strong,
Yeah.
that that's one of my motivational cues, if you will. Like I'm rubbing your shoulders from across the room while you're battling through the workout. Like you're strong. You can do another rep. You're almost there. Breathe. You're ready. Or between a big lift on the clean and the jerk, like yelling out, "You're okay. Like you can do this." Those are examples, I think, of positive expression. Do you have any that you use for people?
Um, I guess it's kind of similar. Um, you can you can kind of see the moments where someone's like debating in their head, and yeah, it's just telling them like your reps are looking great, keep on holding on, or something like that. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, things along those
The
lines.
the hard one to not say is don't put it down.
Right.
That's because now you're like we're reading here in the article, their subconscious brain hears put it down, you know, or don't put it down, which has you thinking about, yes, I would like to put it down.
Yeah.
And that's where I try to catch myself and say, you can hold on, take another breath, do another rep. You're strong. I try to say those things, but every now and then I'll catch myself say, don't put it down, because you really, really don't want them to put it down.
Yeah.
So like when you get into like that like high intensity cheering and yelling and pushing or of people, you might accidentally have some of those slip into your brain. And I think too, something to be aware of when you're coaching, let's say you're yelling at one athlete, don't put it down. But the people around them also might hear put it down.
Yeah.
Like they're not going to hear your whole thing. They might just, if someone across the room might just hear put it down. So, you know, that's something else to kind of think about. It's the same thing as if you yell across the room, hey, Miguel, push your knees out. And everyone else is like, that is a good idea. I should probably, and you catch a bunch of people. You can do the same thing by trying to be motivational and push someone. Other people might only get half the message. So you
Yeah.
have to be just really careful with your words or pick them. And I just like you would write down or think about, what are my cues for the push jerk? If I want someone to get full hip extension, what are my cues going to be as well? And what am I going to say when we're in the middle of the workout and I'm going to try to motivate them to fight through these 15 reps. We're doing 21,
Yeah.
15, 9 push jerks and toes to bar. And I know they want to put it down. I wanted to put it down. I did put it down, but I want them to be better. So what am I going to say that helps them, but also might hopefully trickle around to the people around them, something important. And then, so yeah, maybe eventually we need to do an exercise like that on what are our positive types of cues. Any
Hmm.
other thoughts from these two paragraphs here, the first goal and the second goal?
No, I think we about covered it. Yeah.
All right, I will let you pick up right here.
Okay. The final point is perhaps the most important but least understood. A goal must contain a time frame that is realistic and achievable, while at the same time providing the athlete with a certain amount of challenge and motivation. A goal set too far in the future will lack the urgency and fail to create the internal fire needed for accomplishment. On the other hand, too short a time frame may lead to discouragement and despair. When deciding upon the time frame for a goal, a certain degree of self-assessment on the part of the athlete must take place. For example, if an athlete tells me his goal is to perform a single set of 50 pull-ups in 3 months, I will likely ask him how many consecutive pull-ups he can currently complete. How specifically the athlete can answer the question will help me in determining the best approach to supporting the achievement of the goal. If the athlete responds, "I'm not sure how many pull ups I can do right now," we need to find out immediately. The approach we take to settling a time frame for completing 50 consecutive pull ups will vary greatly if the athlete has 5 pull ups as compared to 45 pull ups.
Very important things to consider. You're going to hear people tell you all the time, like, oh, my goal is to do this or X. I want to get into a handstand. I want to do handstand push-ups. I want to lift this much weight. So getting the data on like what can you do now is really important. Like how can we move forward, right?
Yep.
Um, and also setting realistic expectations. I used to have people all the time join on ramp and they'd be like, yeah, well, I need to lose 30, 50 pounds. There's a wedding in August. It's always a wedding in August. And it'd be like the father of the bride, he wants to look good when he walks his daughter down the aisle. Like the amount of times I've had that person in class is crazy.
Mm-hmm.
When we used to have those on ramps all the time. And the thing is, it's like it's 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 May, you know, and so like okay, we need to set some realistic expectations here on like is losing 50 pounds between May and August healthy? Maybe, and also your scale is going to be different all the time. What happens if we don't get it? Of course you're still going to go to the wedding, like, so it's just like helping people figure that stuff out. Like, okay, well, how about we establish these healthy lifestyle practices, and along the way we'll, it may not happen a month from now when you want it to happen,
Yep.
nor would you want to do that. And you see people all the time, I'm sure, who lose a ton of weight like in a very, very short amount of time, and it just doesn't look right, and they don't feel good. Has there been any times where you've set a goal for yourself and it had an unrealistic timeline?
Dare I say no? Um,
All right,
I don't
it's
know
okay.
because my goals have never been like, yeah, I think all of them have been somewhat data driven, at least. Some have been ambitious, but you know, if
Mhm.
you do like your look back and you see improvement across time, then if we continue on this path, then we can get there or to around there. Um, yeah, I feel like I don't typically extend myself too far, and mine aren't typically like aesthetic or you know number on the scale goals. So yeah, maybe not too often do I go for something along those lines.
Yeah, and you've also been doing it for a very long time, so you have wisdom now behind you on like
Yeah.
what's realistic. Like you're not gonna be like, all right, I want 50 strict muscle ups next month. Like you would never say that now.
Yeah.
Um, but there are people like as they start, they don't understand also what goes into achieving some of those goals. And that's why I would always tell people on the on ramp, hey, the people you see next door right now, and we would look across the room, or when you go to class, who are doing muscle ups, handstand walking, lifting lots of weight, you have to understand that they started where you are right now. They were literally sitting in this room looking at me,
Yeah.
telling them the same thing. And it took them X amount of time to get there based on where they started. Some people were able to do some things right away, others had to work years to get there. So when you look at someone who's back squatting 300 pounds, they may have been working on that for the last couple of years. No one over there is automatically doing what you see them doing. And then when you're trying to set realistic timeframes, I think that there has to be from the coach a certain level of honesty, you know, um, in a of course a positive way, like, oh no, Miguel, you can't do that, blah blah blah. But it's like, okay, like someone wants 30 strict muscle ups tomorrow. All right, Miguel. Well, typically that takes people this amount of time to do. And these are some of the prerequisites that we should have under our belt. They're going to help us get there, and we start talking about pull ups and dips. Have you ever worked with the rings? And giving examples and just being honest with them, like, hey, I think this is a totally great goal for you, Miguel. What I would like to do is take the long term approach, and let's try to get you there within the next year or something like that. And the way you handle that situation is important too, because you could totally scare someone off. I've certainly had situations where I've tried to have that conversation with someone, and then what they end up doing, if I messed up, is they go to the next coach, and really what they're doing is they're trying to find someone to tell them what they want to hear. Does that make
Yeah.
sense? Um, and at some point, I mean, that person has to take responsibility for that too, right? If you're that type of person where you're like, all right, he didn't tell me what I wanted to hear, I'm going to go to someone else because I don't believe him. And then you just find that person that will tell you what you want to hear, and they're just going to take your money. You
Yeah.
know, um, I don't think you've had conversations with people yet to that degree. But does that make sense, or have you? Or have you been a part of those conversations?
Yeah, not members of our gym, but I mean, people are aware of like what I do and that type of deal. So you definitely get the people, even if they're not asking your opinion, they'll tell you like, oh yeah, here's what I'm doing and here's where I'm doing it at. I bought all these new things, and you see it with people too. And sometimes you just observe the behavior where you're like, wow, you're going all in on this
Yeah.
big thing because you want to make this change by this amount of time. Let's see how long this lasts, or like if this is sustainable.
Yeah. Or is it just going to be a flash in the pan?
Yeah.
I remember once would go over the Olympic lifting in on ramp, I would tell people, hey, here's the snatch. Here's what it looks like. Boom. I would do a demo. And maybe we'd watch a video of someone doing a really cool lift. We used to watch, I think, Pocket Hercules, Lydia Valentin, maybe a John North snatch video in there. And I would tell people that style weightlifting is a sport all on its own that people work a lifetime to try to master. And today is day one for us.
Right.
No one expects you to be perfect. We're just going to practice the movement. It's not going to feel right, because what does right feel? It's supposed to feel like. Um, all you need to do is to keep practicing it, and things come over time. And the reason that we can't lift a weight is not because necessarily you're not strong enough. It has to do with a lot of technique. And I can't remember what I used to compare weightlifting to on the technique side of things. There was one thing I used to compare it to where people were like, "Oh, okay, yeah, that takes like, I guess like you could like compare it to like knife skills in the kitchen, on
Yeah.
like
Right.
that like that's something where people are like, oh, well, I do that, but I can't do the, that like
Mhm.
you see the professional chefs do. So it's like that takes a lot of practice. And I would try to emphasize practice and technique before the weights. So that would be the conversation I would have with people. Like people spend a lifetime and they also start way earlier than any of us in the room right now. I would say how old I was, and then people would be like, okay, yeah, I'm older or I'm just slightly younger. And like there's people that have been working on this since they were 12, and this is their life's goal, and they're still chasing it. They're still chasing the perfect technique. They're still chasing weights, and they put in a lot of hours. So just getting people to understand that, especially with such a dynamic movement of like the snatch, where you get the bros coming in and they're like, I should be able to do this. I don't know why you should be able to do this. It requires a lot of, coordination, balance, and technical aspects. But they think they should be able to because they can move a barbell in other ways. And then they
Yeah.
start to get frustrated and they want to hit this weight. And you got to tell them, hey, like we're to hit 135, it seems super easy. I know you can bench press it and do all these other things with it, but snatching 135 to full depth, that's a challenge.
Yeah.
That's like one of the first benchmarks. Do you remember the first time you snatched 135?
Um. Yes. Yeah.
Like, do you
I
remember?
mean, it took a while.
Yeah, it was probably over body weight, right?
Yeah, I think at the time it was probably body weight. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, it took a lot of work, and now you're snatching over 200 pounds, which took years of development. So, yeah, it just putting things into perspective for the athlete on how long things will take, being honest with them in hopefully a positive way. But I do think that there has to be some responsibility from the person or the type of person to like, all right, Miguel's not telling, and I mean, that comes down on the coach too, right? Like, what do you think about that scenario where James is telling you these things about the snatch? And what you're wanting to hear is, I want to put 135 on it right now. I don't care if I miss it 50 times in a row. I'm going to keep, you're just one of those head against the wall people. At what point in this, Miguel, do I fail? And at what point does the athlete need to take responsibility here, in your opinion?
Right. I think maybe that was one thing I had with this article as a whole is that I do feel that at certain points you need to give people almost like a reality check or like a yeah, like in reality this is going to be difficult. I know, and like of course the positive self-talk of like you can push past that, you can do this, but there is a point where I feel as though you do have to let people know what they're about to get into.
Yeah. And also, you have to let them do the thing too, right?
Right.
So let's use, I mean, the snatch is a good example, but let's use the thruster, right? You get the big guy. I love how our examples, it's always a guy. You get the big the big guy, and like he's strong. He wants to do the thing, bro. But you always scale him to dumbbells. Like you never let him do the thing. You gotta let him do the thing. You just have to find the right thing, and then that's when the art, I think, of scaling and hitting the stimulus. Like you got to find a way to kick his ass with this
Hmm.
workout, and that'll start to help make him believe. Okay, you want to snatch 135, you think you should do this. Okay, well, let's do some high hang snatches, and maybe you can get up to 95 pounds and hold positions and make it hard for him, in different ways so that he feels like he gets something out of it. Because once you go past the conversation and you're in those initial training sessions, if they don't feel like they're getting anything out of it, that's when you're going to lose them, I feel like, or that's
Yeah.
when you're definitely going to use them. If like, okay, I want Miguel's technique to be so perfect. He's always on the PVC pipe. He's always doing things, but he doesn't feel like he's lifting any weight. At the very least, I got to get a bar on your back and let's hit some heavy back squats. Like I got to do something and use it as a carrot to keep stringing you along, you know. And then I also need to I need to fluff you up. Yeah, man, that was a great lift. Look at that. All right, let's make this change. I need it needs to stay in the positive, and I need to keep motivating you and not let you get negative, which is that's what this article is talking about in some places. But I feel like that's where you might lose them on the conversation, maybe,
Yeah.
you know, and you could definitely lose them in the conversation if you're having it over the phone. So you need to get them into the gym. You need to get them in gym. So if someone tells you a crazy goal and you're doing leads and stuff, all right, well, yeah, all right, hey, let's see what you can do. Let's try it. Let's do some lifts. I'm excited to work with you. All that stuff. You need to get their butt in the gym. Then you can start to have these deeper conversations of okay, well, all right, so the snatch, you want to learn weightlifting. This is a movement that people spend their whole life. Blah, blah, you can have that whole thing. Don't have that conversation on the phone. You're gonna scare them off, right? You need to fluff them up. You need to get the date. Let's have dinner. Meet me. Come in. Now let's talk about it. All right. What do you want out of this relationship? Okay, well, here's the reality of it. But then I also need to get you a kick-ass workout. And I need to fluff you up a little bit. We need to have fun. You need to love working with me. And then you start to put your guard down and be like, all right, I trust Miguel. He's saying I need 6 months. I want it next week. Let me give him another session. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I kind of feel like that's how that has to go. What do you think about that whole scenario? If we're if we're starting on, they call you up, hey, Miguel, you're a coach for weightlifting. Here are my goals. And you hear the goals and you're like, I don't know, man. You can't do that. You got to get them into the door unless you don't want a client, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I do think definitely being able to see the person and how they respond to certain things will also give you a better idea of framing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How do I need to talk to you and help you see what I see?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Where are we?
In setting.
Time frame. Is that you or me?
Or no? Where are we?
Yeah, I think we did the pull-up thing, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Is that me or you?
I think it's you.
Oh, okay. In setting the time frame for a goal, a coach must weigh the delicate balance between motivating and challenging an athlete, while at the same time ensuring a high likelihood of success. A CrossFit coach has the responsibility of helping athletes set and achieve their goals. Notice the key word here is achieve. By helping an athlete define, move towards, and ultimately arrive at a desired end state, the CrossFit coach sets in motion a pattern of behavior for the athlete that can be applied to anything. The frequency with which an athlete can set a goal for him or herself and reach the desired end state will, in large part, define the individual's sense of ability and capacity. For the coach, this means happy, healthy, and physically fit athletes who remain lifelong clients and provide a steady referral base to the gym. Makes sense. We've talked a little bit about that. I think this kind of goes with you have the big goal, but then you have these little milestones along the way to the big goal that you kind of celebrate and move everything forward. Like in the barbell club, that just makes me think of all the little PRs that we get, whether it be within a complex or all the positions. Okay, you haven't snatched from the floor a PR in a little bit, but look at all these other PRs that are if you plot a line, you kind of need to get that, or it helps a lot to get that to get it from the floor.
Yeah.
But does this bring anything to mind for you?
Yeah, I think it's kind of like what we were just touching on before reading it, honestly.
Yeah. Setting people up and achieving things, and also making people realize that there's so many things to achieve, and all of these things help in the end, and that motivates them, and even like the same thing for coaching. I don't know, how does it make you feel when you set a coaching PR and we blow it up at the gym? Like, would you consider that? Would you have thought that's a PR, or do you think about those things, or you're like, oh yeah, that is cool. That's my first time teaching Fran. Like,
Yeah, I guess looking back, yeah, I would say so.
and that maybe motivates you to achieve more, right? Like, I don't know if it's a goal for you, but the first time you teach Murph, especially on Memorial Day, you're telling me that's not a big day
Hmm.
for a coach for the first time? I don't know. It was for me. I don't. What do you think? Is that like, would that be a big day for you?
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, it's odd. I guess I would have to do it first and then like afterwards.
Reflect back.
Yeah.
Yeah, makes sense. Let's see here. I'll finish this up since it's the last section there. When the lesson of goal setting is implemented by the CrossFit coach, an exciting and rewarding journey suddenly awaits the 5 pull-up athlete whose goal is to achieve 50 pull-ups. He or she has an opportunity to set and reach several smaller and more immediate goals along the way. These mini triumphs will affirm to the athletes their ability to succeed and provide them with the motivation and confidence. Remember, well before athletes can reach 50 pull ups, they must first reach 10, then 15, and then 20 pull ups. Each of these seemingly small increments can, in fact, become a huge milestone and a chance for both the coach and athlete to say, I can achieve that which I set my mind to. We were just kind of talking about this, but yeah,
Right.
makes total sense. Do you want to pick this one up next
Yeah.
here? Positive.
The power of positive self-talk. If there's one consistent character trait I have observed in the CrossFit athletes from around the world, it is a strong sense of optimism. The difficulty of the CrossFit workout naturally instills not only physical fitness, but also mental fitness. Regardless of the time to completion or the amount of weight used, simply facing the daunting workout of the day puts the other obstacles of life into proper perspective. They are all a lot easier. CrossFit coaches and athletes who understand that optimism and a positive mental attitude can yield tremendous results in the gym have one thing in common: success. The athletes are performing at the top of their game, and the coaches are surrounded by thriving clients. In my experience as both a CrossFit athlete and coach, I've concluded that a positive mental attitude and positive self talk are paramount in achieving the full potential of human work capacity. Simply stated, a CrossFit coach must learn how to talk to an athlete. To this extent, I've observed that an athlete is impressionable mentally and emotionally at 3 distinct times while at the CrossFit affiliate gym. From half an hour before the workout up until the announcement of 3, 2, 1, go. During the workout, this is perhaps when the athlete is most receptive, and depending on their state of alertness and fatigue, following the workout as well.
Yeah, I think we kind of talked about how like that time before the workout and then right in the beginning is an opportunity to like have negative self-talk start to creep into your brain, and
Right.
that's where the coach can kind of head that off. I'm sure you've heard people in class before come in and be like, "Oh, I'm not going to be able to do that or this or that," and before the workout because they see it on the board and we haven't talked about it yet. And then when people do that, I try to be like, no, I think you could do that today. Like let's talk about it first. Like
Right.
you're strong, you're fast. Like sometimes Nikhil will come in and I'm like, yeah, Nikhil, how you feeling? What do you think about this? And like, oh, I can't do that today. Well, I'm like, what? But remember last week I saw you crush that 2K row. Like you're super fast. Like just like like reminding them of what they have accomplished before.
Yeah.
Like, hey, like because you start to remember, you're like, no, I've seen you do so much more. Like you're gonna crush this workout. Let's warm it up. Let's get it going. Instead of agreeing with them, like, yeah, oh yeah, you should scale this one today.
Right.
This
Right.
is gonna be the worst workout ever. And sometimes what I'll do too, when it permits with the programming, if people come to class and they PR'd the day before, just kind of remind everybody or announce it. Cause like, especially if like in the group, like not everybody knew about it. Like Josh PR'd his back squat and his shoulder press on the CrossFit Total last Thursday, but he came to the noon.
Mm-hmm.
Friday at the 5:15, I told everybody about his PR. Like, so already, like we're starting off with like, hey, Josh kicked ass yesterday, and then also anyone else in the room. I'm like, yeah, and Dan PR'd his deadlift. Mo PR'd his deadlift, 335. You know, that was like a 30-pound PR. You know, so like that's already. I would hope like right away an announcement was made how badass you are.
Yeah.
That's pretty darn good, right? And also like setting a positive tone for everybody. Like look how awesome we are. And all right, look at this workout. Oh, this workout's great. All right, let's talk about what we're about to do. 2K bike, 50 hand release push-ups, all that stuff. So I think that goes a long way. When you start to remember what people have achieved just before it, you can start to maybe, if negative talk starts to creep up, like remind them a little bit, like, hey, you know, like uh, Miguel, I won't allow Miguel to be mean to Miguel or hold Miguel back. Like, hey, I know Miguel. I'm going to defend Miguel now against Miguel.
Right.
That makes sense?
Yeah.
Any other thoughts on the positive self-talk?
Yeah, I think I do a really good job of it probably after workouts because yeah, I mean, especially I feel like I've gotten a few like newer people as well or like I don't know, it works the other way too, or like people who've been doing it for a long time and at the end they're like, yeah, I didn't get to do this and this because I wasn't feeling this, and or yeah, I got this score but I scaled, and I'm like, yeah, but like that's still great, like you're still doing this, or like just reminders of like, yeah, you had to drop
Yeah.
it way lower than you thought when you came in today, but here's why that's still good, and here's what you'll do in the future, and stuff like that.
Yeah. The mere effort of coming in today is hard.
Yeah.
And think about, and there's so many people that didn't even start, but you started, you came in. That's huge right there. Like you got in here. That's the once we get going, all the weights and reps and stuff like that, cool. At least you're here. You got so much value out of it. And we
Hmm.
did so much work. Are we here with this mindset? Yeah.
Yes.
With this in mind, it becomes extremely important for the CrossFit coach to engage in positive reinforcement before, during, and after a workout. The reason for this is a coach's reinforcement, either positive or unintentionally negative, will influence the individual athlete's self talk at the conscious and subconscious level. The significance of this lesson was most apparent to me during my attempt at running 100 miles in 24 hours. Yeah, add that to the list of things I never want to do.
Yeah.
Sorry for some negative self-talk. At the halfway point, I was joined by a coach and pace runner who immediately said to me, "Don't think about it, but the next 50 miles will be the hardest yet." Yeah, that would be the last thing I want to hear, right? Halfway. Uh, we are all students in the sport of life, and this coach had no way of knowing the emotional state I was in and had the best intentions with the comment. However, on the receiving end of this bit of advice, I was left emotionally and mentally devastated. My first self talk was, "This is about to get a lot harder." Moments after the incident took place, I was joined by my wife, Molly. Hope I said that right. Who, having overheard the previous comment, loudly exclaimed, "Baby, you're gonna fly through these next few miles." My mental and emotional state changed in an instant, and I felt a surge of strength that replaced the weakness of only a moment before. My subconscious mind heard "fly" and "few miles." The result was positive self-talk that sounded like, just a few more miles, I'm going to fly. We've been talking about this, right?
Yep.
Um, you know, you hear a few things, and also you don't know the mental and emotional state, let's say during the workout, but also how about in life too, right? Like someone just got yelled at by their boss. They just found out they're getting a divorce. They had a death in the family. Their dog died, whatever it may be. Someone cut them off in traffic. They're just having a rough day. It's the anniversary of something, like who knows? And then right as they come in at the board, you're like, hey, this is going to be the hardest thing you've ever done in your life. This workout sucks. It's going to kick your butt. If you can't do this, if you're not good enough for that, if you're too shitty to do this, like that all like that's rough, right?
Yeah.
That's really, really rough. So you never know the state of someone when you're dealing with them. So that's why if you're at least positive, that could hopefully help and even uplift them. I've
Yeah.
had a lot of people tell me in the past that they were going through something difficult and they did not want to come in that day, but they're so glad, and like that moment in time, the class was the most fun they've had in a little bit, or like that it really helped them. And it's because when they came to class, I wasn't like, all right, you're total dog shit. You ain't gonna climb on that rope today. You're gonna do this. Like it's like just the way you frame things and also the way you interact with them. It's like, no, you can do this. You're strong. Or like, okay, how about we do this? Let's try this. Just like keeping everything moving forward in a positive way. If someone's like, yeah, my shoulder hurts or whatnot, like, all right, well, we can try this thing, or hey, let's experiment with this, and you make them laugh a little bit or something, you
Right.
know. Uh, the more you coach, the more I think you'll start to come across these types of things, especially like in that regard where someone's coming in and something horrific has happened. And the more you coach, eventually people will start to tell you about it.
Yep.
Maybe after class, be like, I've been really, really down in the dumps, but like you were the first person to make me smile today in like 6 weeks. Thank you. I don't know. Have you had any of these types of experiences?
Yeah, to a certain extent. Nothing like big, I guess you could say.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, definitely.
That I think it starts to open the doorway of you'll start to become someone that when something happens in their lives, they'll tell you about it way
Yeah.
before you're in the gym. You know, I've gotten messages like late at night, like midnight, one. I'm like, hey, my baby just came, and they sent me a photo, and they're like, you're the first person I've told. I'm like,
Hmm.
I don't know why I'm the first person you told and sent a photo of it, but congratulations. But
Right.
like obviously like you needed to tell someone and you're so comfortable with me or anything like that, or if there's something difficult, like they'll tell me. Or I've had many people tell me, hey, we're having a baby. Like it's always babies. Baby's the big one. And I'm like, you're the first person I told. I haven't told my family yet. Like, wow, I'm so honored that of all the people you could have messaged, you messaged me first.
Yeah.
And there's just a bombardment of like emojis and positive things and like, oh my God, that's so awesome. I can't wait to get him on the rings, all this stuff. Let's make a CrossFit Games champion. Like just all the things. And it's like, I don't know if that's what they were looking for. Or I don't know why they went to me first. I have no idea.
Yeah.
You know, Especially people that like maybe I haven't talked to in a while, all of a
Hmm.
sudden out of the blue, they'll tell me something. And I'm like, whoa, all right, where did you come from? How
Yeah.
are you doing first? How are you doing? I don't know. I don't even know why that would be. Why do you think that might be? Were the burpees just that good? I don't know.
Yeah, there's kind of like a personal, impersonal level that you have with coaching. It's similar to like a coworker situation where sometimes it's because you're on a personal level, but it's not like too close. It's easier to kind of sometimes share that type of information with a
Yeah.
person.
There's a bonding.
Right.
of bonding.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get that. Have you experienced anything like that?
Yeah. With like, yeah, like even like we talked about people from who were members of Albany CrossFit that like aren't anymore, but like I know everything that's going on still. And
Yeah,
like I'm still within like the group of like, oh, you're telling I'm one of the like few that's, you know, and sometimes it's just random stuff. Sometimes it's, yeah, you never know what it is or like the day that you decided to like people, yeah, people will hold things and have deeper meaning when you don't even really think about it. Like it could have just been
yeah,
randomly one day because you were stretching with them after a workout and you guys got to chatting that they always remember that. So,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, and it's funny. It's always interesting to me when it's the people that they were members, but like 5 years ago or
Mhm.
longer, and I'm like, well, like first, so glad to talk to you again. How are you
Mhm.
doing? And then like you get like the big update or something like that.
Yeah.
Um, and then like every now and then, like there are some people that I'll just reach out to be like, hey, hope you're doing well. What's going on?
Mhm.
Uh, it's like sometimes you get like you get a feeling you're like the universe tells you, I should message that guy or that lady and whatnot. And like maybe there's just you just reaching out of the blue, like, hey, saw a post and whatnot, just thought I'd say hi and make sure you're doing good, happy new year or whatnot. And like you never even know what that could do for them. Like,
Yeah.
like you're still kind of like coaching them. Like maybe they're going through a rough time and you don't even know, but something told you to message them and you message them
Mhm.
and they don't even tell you what's going on, but like it did some good, you know,
Yeah.
um, with you not even knowing it. It's cool. It's a cool thing. Being kind is a cool thing.
Yeah.
Positive. Um, where are we? Oh, they're gonna fly. Okay, you can pick it up here.
Okay. During a CrossFit workout, which may range from under 2 minutes to well over 45 minutes, it is impossible for a coach to predict what one small word, statement, or comment an athlete will hear, register, and be affected by. Therefore, it is vital that a coach be aware and respectful of the amount of influence he or she has over an athlete while at the affiliate gym. At CrossFit Level 1 certifications, students are taught to cue athletes with specific and concise statements, such as drive through the heels. A CrossFit coach must learn to time and articulate positive reinforcement to an athlete with the same skill. When an athlete hears from a coach, you're doing great, you're going to get a personal record, the athlete internalizes these specific and tactful words and the meaning of the statement. The effect of the coach's words on the athlete's self talk is this: I'm doing great. I'm going to get a PR. Those few words can motivate tired athletes and help strong performers work just a little bit harder.
Yep,
Um,
definitely.
that's cool.
Yeah. Maybe is this does this kind of connect?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Let's keep
A
going.
CrossFit coach can utilize the same lessons of positive reinforcement to cue an athlete's technique and range of motion. For example, rather than telling an athlete you're rounding your back, cue an athlete in the positive tense to reach the desired end state by saying, maintain your lumbar curve. If an athlete misses the bottom of a squat, rather than saying you missed the bottom, encourage by saying drive 2 inches deeper into the squat. By choosing positive language, the coach begins to influence the athlete's own degree of positive self-talk.
Yep. And how as the coach, all eyes are on you, right? So if you're slouching and you look unapproachable or you're, grumpy that day, like that rubs off everybody, right? That's like the demeanor now of everybody because you're the role model and the example. Um, but if you're like high energy and you're being positive and you're happy to be there, that could help those people that are like it says, tired. Just be like, you know what? All right, let's do this. Like it rubs off. It does rub off on you. I don't. I've definitely had some classes where the instructor, not CrossFit classes, more of like school classes. where the instructors like didn't really feel like wanting to be there. Like that's the vibe you got from them. And then that made me be like, I should just skip tomorrow, like, or skip more often, or like, I don't want to be here either. Does it rub off on you? Like what someone's like just total demeanor and attitude?
Yeah, I had a professor in college, towards the end of my time at college, where he would cancel class a good amount and had like things going on. So like it always seemed like class was an inconvenience. And
Oh,
because of like my schedule at the time where I was going from work straight to that class, and like sometimes I'd be on my way to class and then get a message that class was canceled, or not even see the message and class would be canceled. And that is the one class that I failed in college because I was like, I'm not going to this ever. Like
yeah,
it really seemed like a waste of time, but it was, I would say the biggest reason was because it seemed like the professor had a lot going on at the time, and class seemed like an inconvenience for him as well.
yeah. He was making it. He was communicating to you, this is a waste of time, and it's a
Yeah.
waste of my time. I don't want to be here. Instead of like being like, I'm so happy to be here and talk to you about this subject, and I want you to learn it. We're gonna have so much fun. What was the subject? You remember?
It was abnormal psychology.
That actually
Was it
sounds like
called
fun.
abnormal? Yeah, I think it was abnormal.
Yeah, that makes me think of Young Frankenstein, Abby Normal, when he picks the wrong brain to put into the Frankenstein, like that. So that actually sounds like an interesting class, or like it would be, learning
Right.
about some of
Like
that
we
stuff.
had the like DSM and everything. That's like how you categorize all this stuff. But yeah, when you have a professor that, on like genuinely, I would say half, if not more, of our classes for the semester ended up being canceled.
Wow.
Yeah.
And we're not going to go on a rant, but like you paid for
Right.
those classes. That's
Yeah.
uh, that's the you paid for those $500 worth of books and all kinds of stuff. Oh man. Uh, so yeah, look at that. That's a perfect example. So it's like anything that's ever going on in my life that is negative, or if I'm tired, I do not try to let that translate in the class. Like I'm happy to be here. Like something happened. It's like, all right, well, that stops at the hour. You know what I mean, or just before it, leading into class, because this class is about them, right? It's about the athlete. Let's have fun. I'm not above making myself look silly, or being goofy or saying stupid things or whatever, and it makes people laugh,
Yeah.
because for the most part, people know that I'm not all those things, right? So I don't have to be defensive about it. Like these people know me, they know I'm not an idiot, but I'm just being silly more for your benefit, right? Um, in ways that I never would have back in college or anything like that, when you just don't act like that, or you're not fully comfortable in your skin. And the telling people like, hey, I'm doing great, I'm going to get a PR, getting them to be in that mindset is super important. Moments of like coaching that I'm like, man, if I had a way to go back and film that, I wish I could have filmed that interaction and how that all went down, right? Like every now and
Right.
then you teach something and you're like, man, that's like, why couldn't that situation have happened at the level 4? Like
Hmm.
something, right? Just we were doing hang snatches, and there was a guy in there. He was fairly new to the gym. He was a college student at Siena, and he would come in back and forth. After COVID, he couldn't return because I think it was that school. They wouldn't allow them to do things like that.
Mm.
So he just had to do CrossFit on campus or something. I can't remember what the deal was with that. But he had never snatched 185. And he told me before class, yeah, my goal is to hit 185. And I was like, well, hell yeah. Like, how hard are we going to slam it after you do that? Like, yeah, let's snatch it. He's like, but I miss it every time. He's like, when I get to that weight, it always gets in my head. And I'm like, noted. So we warm up, we do the bar warm up, we do all that stuff, we build up. He's going through it. I'm giving him coaching cues. We get to 185, he misses it. First time. Okay. He's done that before. And then immediately he's getting super negative about it, Miguel, right? I'm never going to lift this weight. This is like one of my big goals. 185. 185 is a special weight for him. And I told him, I said, hey, how many times have you tried to snatch it before? Like maybe sessions, right? So, okay, you know, every time you put a new weight on the bar, it's a new relationship. It's a new interaction. It's like meeting a new person. You're shaking hands with it. So all these times, you're not really missing it because you're doing something wrong. You're learning more about 185. You're getting to know 185 in this relationship, what you have to do. And I shook his hand during. I'm like, hi, I'm James, or hi, I'm 185, and he laughed when I did that. So hey, if you get a laugh is a good thing, right, Miguel? We're going on the positive. So I told him, I'm like, hey, you just need to try it again and learn from one to the next, and you're establishing this relationship. You're gonna get it. Like let's do it again. You're gonna get it. And all I want you to do is this little thing. I think I told him to like get his wrist back more and like pull it back further here, and he got it on the next lift, and he was so pumped up. And I'm like, yes. Like I was like, if I could have had that filmed. And he slammed the shit out of the bar. I'm like, yes, good. I'm glad you did that because I was like, that was part of it. I think I was probably yelling "slam it" as he was standing up, but just explaining to him, hey, every time the weight goes up from 95 to 115 to 135, it's a different person. It's a new relationship. It's going to be a little different from the one before it. And that's me super simplifying all the scientific facts on why it's different. Your nervous system, your muscles, all that stuff, right? It could be it's a new person, it's a new relationship. You got to get to know it a little better. And then boom, he hit it. And he was super pumped about it. I don't know. That's what this situation draws out of my brain on like how I handle the situation. And I wish I could have like had that filmed,
Right.
like that was like his goal, and we got it done there. And all I had to do to explain to him is that yes, it's supposed to be different, and yes, it's just you're learning how 185 needs to be, and 185 is different than 155, 165, 175. And he didn't miss any weights all the way up to that. It was just in his head. And that's how I got him out of his head.
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
Yeah. I think, yeah, that's really what you need to do sometimes is just, I think with positive self-talk, also just reality too of, these things are going to be difficult. It's not, you might not get it immediately, but that doesn't mean you stop trying or anything. So if you can get a person to keep moving and at least have an outlook of, okay, even if I don't get it this time, next time I'll have another shot at it, instead of like letting them go down this hill of, I'll never get this. That's going to be my stopping point. Eventually you're going to get there.
Yeah.
Even if it's not today. Let's hope it is today. Let's work for it today. But,
And hey, all right, you just missed 185 on your first attempt at it. But you know what? You're doing a great job with your footwork. You're doing a great job, on using your legs. What I need you to do now is this. And also remind them, hey, you've smoked all these lifts on the build up. Every now and then a tennis player hits the ball into the net. So you're gonna miss lifts. Missing lifts is a normal thing. When people get into weightlifting, missing lifts can have a profound effect on their psychology. So that's one of the early beginning talks you would have with someone is like, okay, missing lifts is normal, and how do we deal with that? How do we move on? Versus it being a bad thing. I've had plenty of athletes reduced to tears because of missed lifts.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, it shouldn't be like that. It's like, it's normal. It's normal. But some people perceive failure, or even things that aren't really a failure, but like a missed lift, for example, as this is a representation of you as a person, and you're a bad person. You suck. You're awful because you can't do this. Even it was the first one you missed all day,
Yeah.
Not that this was that athlete. This is other athletes. Um, so yeah, just how you how you deal with misses. Let's move on here. Where are we? CrossFit
Legendary
coach.
fight trainer.
Oh, legendary fight trainer. Legendary fight trainer and CrossFit coach John Hackelman taught me the significance of essentially scripting athletes' self talk for them. In his extensive coaching experience, John has had the awesome responsibility of providing advice, support, and positive reinforcement to top mixed martial arts fighters, such as former Ultimate Fighting Championship light heavyweight champion Chuck Liddell. During the 1 minute break between rounds of USC bouts, John explained to me that no matter what had unfolded during the fight up until that point, he would tell the fighter such statements as, "You look strong. I'm proud of you. And your punching is powerful." Focus, the focus and word choice has choice always remained in the positive tense. John said, "I would never say to my fighter, 'You're not tired,' or 'You don't feel tired,' because that would almost guarantee my fighter would walk back into the cage thinking, 'I'm tired,' instead of thinking something more productive and positive." Yeah, a little bit of what we've been talking about.
Yeah.
Hey, you're doing a great job with your footwork. The lockout's looking crisp. Yeah, no misses so far. That's awesome. Or you're making all these lifts. Let's make another one. What do you think about this?
Yeah. I have my, I mean, yeah, I think the positive words are helpful. I do think that people have their own motivators. I think at if we are going like overall general, yes, 100% that the positive self-talk is definitely the best way to go. But I
Yeah,
do know people who thrive off of negativity. Um,
yeah,
but of course I wouldn't like start that as like that's just how I talk to everyone. Like
yeah.
those are
Shouldn't
specific
be the default.
outliers. But yeah,
I
I think yeah, go ahead.
I was just gonna say I don't understand. I understand, but like I don't know if I work the best with the people that are fully into that negative talk.
Hmm.
Like I know you have your method, which is which I don't even know is purely in the negative talk camp. But like I'm talking about the people who are like, you need to tell me I'm not gonna do it, or that I suck, or something like
Yeah.
that, right? Or that I'm not good enough. That's what motivates me. I don't really, I don't know if one, it's not my style,
Hmm.
and I don't know if historically I've been that good with working with those people. Um,
Yeah.
am I right? Yeah, you're not totally in the negative camp. I'm like,
No,
Miguel,
no.
you suck. You're not gonna get it. Yours is a little more inside. It's a personal battle, right?
Hmm.
Remind me what it is. What's going on here?
Yeah,
Miguel
no, I
psychology.
mean it's really just self-talk. It's definitely not negative. I think I've tried negative and that also doesn't really work. Um,
Yeah,
but mine is really just like it's more of like a prove it type of deal. Like I already assume that I'm going to do certain things. So, in that I am in a certain position because of my ability. So, I really
yeah,
just tell myself to like prove it and like stuff like that or I don't know. Like I think mine is like I wouldn't say you're not tired, but I wouldn't I wouldn't like tell myself that I feel fresh, you know?
yeah.
Like I think I'm more of like you are
Keep moving
tired,
forward.
but like it doesn't matter, or like something like that, where I'm like, all right, you only have this amount of time. You can do this for this amount of time before you're done, you know?
Yeah,
Where I'm like, the reality is you still got 10 more minutes. I know you
yeah,
can do the 10 more minutes. Let's forget the whole tired thing because no matter what, that is just what it is.
yeah. Yeah, we've talked about the Miguel method many times, and that definitely checks out. You know, yeah, I would never say to myself internally like you can't get this, and like
Yeah.
try to prove myself wrong, kind of a thing. I think I'm more of like towards the gym storage side of things. Like, yeah, let's go. Like, let's try. Or maybe not even anything at all. Just like breathe in and let fate decide.
Right.
Um, yeah. Forging an indomitable spirit. What a great word, indomitable. I think we're on you, right?
Yeah. All right. Learning and applying the art of goal setting and positive self talk will have an incredible influence upon the CrossFit affiliate, coach, and athlete. The result of practicing and teaching these skills with the same diligence as a CrossFit physical modality will increase the collective work capacity and positive attitude of a CrossFit affiliate. In addition, an indomitable spirit will be forged by both the coach and the athlete as they realize what the mind can believe the body can achieve. And then 5 coaching tips for goal setting and positive self-talk. Use a section of the whiteboard to record goals and their expected date of achievement. In addition, encourage athletes to write their goals in a personal journal. A powerful connection takes place between the athlete and his or her goal when it takes the form of the written word. Encourage the use of public goal setting. When an athlete communicates goals to a coach and fellow athletes, a relationship is formed based upon trust and accountability. The athlete becomes accountable to the CrossFit affiliate gym to give 100% on the path to accomplishing the goal. In addition, the athlete puts a high amount of trust in the coach and community to keep him or her accountable to the stated goal. Ask your athletes what they are working towards. If athletes are uncertain, encourage and teach them how to formulate a goal, then help them achieve it. Publicly acknowledge when an athlete achieves a goal. Use the whiteboard, affiliate, website, or newsletter. Every goal met deserves congratulations and public recognition. Listen carefully to the words athletes use when they talk about themselves in the affiliate gym, and athletes' spoken words are a reflection of inner self talk. Politely correct athletes who speak negatively about themselves by encouraging them to change their words to a more positive dialogue.
Yep. Great advice. This is like the whole article right here.
Yeah,
Big fan of the public acknowledgement. We already talked about that. Even if we're past the day, or even things that aren't necessarily CrossFit related. Like you've seen it many times in the newsletter where I'm like, such and such had a life PR.
right.
Nyla bought a house. John Foster was the head referee at a men's hockey game for the first time. You
Mhm.
know, I think that lets people know that like you're there for them and you're cheering for them and you're rooting for them and celebrating them even when they're not in class.
Yeah,
And I think for an affiliate that's an important thing, on being in tune with what people are doing outside of class and celebrating the graduation's an easy one, or job promotions, things like that. I think it goes a long way. And
yeah.
I think, or I would like to think, that kind of celebration helps that person in the gym. Do you think there's any carryover on like um, to performance in some way, or the way they carry themselves? I don't know.
Yeah, I think they all work together where, which I'm sure you've heard where like people say once you start CrossFit, like things in your personal life also start to get better. And I think it can go the other way, where that confidence and maybe potentially less stress outside because you've like closed on the house or you're finally hitting these life kind of things that you want to hit allows you to kind of perform better physically in the gym as well.
Yeah, and I like this part. On listen to how athletes are talking about themselves. And politely correct them when they're wrong. That's like
Yeah.
the I need to correct Miguel about Miguel. Miguel is in fact incorrect about what he's saying about himself right now. You know, look at all the awesome things you've done. Look how, blah blah blah. Just not fluffing the ego, just keeping it positive, I guess.
Yeah.
Don't
Right.
let people get negative, and because it's so easy to get negative. It really is. And that's the end of the article. Any other thoughts on this section, the 5 tips for goal setting and positive self-talk?
Maybe just as a whole for the article, um, I would say overall, I guess just with my place now in coaching, that it feels kind of like a more permanent thing. It's something that I think I'll probably lean into more. The like asking people like, what are your goals in the gym and overall. I don't know. I don't know why it. I guess it kind of seemed like, oh, that's like a head coach type of thing of like keeping track of what athletes are doing and all this. But yeah, I think that's something that I want to start being more a part of and kind of figuring out for each person and how I can like help them on just like a even if they only see me once a week type of deal.
Yeah. No, it's an every coach job. The head coach, of course, is like more hours involved with it and tracking
Hmm.
on like what's going on with you and like getting on people and stuff like that. But like you might see the same person every Sunday.
Yeah.
Like that's a consistent thing. That's a consistent relationship building right there. So, being in tune with those things and then communicating to the head coach or full-time coaches on things that you hear, like because we also don't hear everything. I don't hear
Hmm.
everything. So it's like and you can't hit everybody. So like it's kind of assumed that those people in the morning, that's Murph's flock, and he's
Hmm.
got tabs on all of them. The people I see in the evening and the barbell club, I've got tabs on those. And then there's some in between and crossover, of course. And many times if someone comes in the evening and I learn something or anything, I'll tell Murph, hey, did you
Hmm.
know that such and such had this life event happen, whether it be a good one or a bad one. And sometimes he'll be like, oh no, I actually haven't seen him in a couple of days, but now he knows. So I think the more we communicate about these things as the coaching staff, the better,
Yeah.
for sure. Yeah, great article, very timely. I think one thing that just the general listener who isn't a coach can take away from this would be just take note of how you talk to yourself. And I think one way you can do that is by writing it down, right? If maybe that's where journaling comes into play. If you have thoughts on things that's going on in your life, write about it and then
Yeah.
read it back the next day and be like, whoa, look at how I was tearing into James here.
Hmm.
Um, that ain't right. I should fix that, or I should find help for this problem. Or if you are in a leadership position, it doesn't even have to be coaching. You're a boss or something. You're having Zoom meetings with people. Everything you say carries weight with it. Every little
Yeah.
thing, all of your actions, even outside of the classroom. People see you out and about in life, and you're yelling at someone because they took too long to get you your order at the restaurant. You're being rude to the wait staff, type of a thing, or you're posting negative things on social media. Like, are you being a person that people would want to be around and are motivated to be around? I think that's part of it, right?
Yeah. Definitely.
I remember I went on one date way back in the day, Miguel, and she was really nasty to the waitress. I don't know why, and that was it. I was like, oh, like you just kind of like flash out and see your future of you're going to have to endure this at some point, and you're like, I'm not going to call you back,
Yeah.
type of a deal. I'm sure you've been in a situation like that. Sure, everybody has. But yeah, be the type of person that you'd want to hang out with yourself and be around. Cool. All right. We did it. I think that was a nice article to start the new year with.
Yeah.
We'll definitely find more and more topics. Anything else, just in general, on coaching or anything? Any thoughts on your mind, Miguel, before we hop off?
No, I'm sure they'll come up as the year goes on.
They certainly will. They will. There's always something to talk about. Yeah, I got nothing. Real quick, I'll just tell you, I'm doing an archery lesson this coming Thursday at 11 a.m.
Nice.
Learn and play new sports, right?
Yeah.
And like that is a sport and an activity. And it's just, remember I talked about doing it before, and I was like, let me see what I asked ChatGPT. I know you have your thoughts on it. I'm like, ChatGPT, where can I do archery in Albany, New York? And it gave me some spots. Some of them were the axe throwing places, and I'm like, that's not what I'm looking for. I don't want that. I want to go to like a real archery range where they're selling the bows and the guy's a hunter and stuff like that. So it's 30 minutes of like technical instruction, and you rent a bow and they have the arrows and the stuff, and then it's 30 minutes of application of like just playing around and doing it. So I'm gonna try it out. And
Nice.
part, I of course want the experience. I wanted to at least try it once, and we'll see. Like, all right, do I really like this? Like, are we gonna eventually buy a bow someday or blah blah blah? But I also want to like, it's just interesting when you do these things. I'm like, well, how does he teach? How does he coach?
Right.
What is he gonna say to me? And is there anything I can steal? Like anytime you do one of these things, you're like, oh, I like the way he said that. I'm going to try that with the thruster today or something like that. So there's always, I'm there for the archery part of it, but I'm sure there's more I can learn about it. Like, how does this guy say things? And it's funny when you find something like, I'm assuming it's going to be super technical. Let's see. He might be like, do this, this, and this. I'm like, oh, wow, that was super simple instruction.
Yeah.
Do I give instruction to my technical things like that? Or am I talking too much? Like, it just kind of makes you think. So it'll be good learning experience. We'll talk about it.
Yeah.
And then I'll do my first meet. No, I'm kidding. So awesome. All right. Well, Miguel, day 1 tomorrow for Barbell Club. I will see you there. Where can people follow you?
At Can It Be Miguel on Instagram.
Can It Be Miguel. Follow me, James A. McDermott. Follow Albany CrossFit, Albany CrossFit Barbell Club. The Barbell Strikes Back. There's too much Instagram. Don't even worry about my Instagram goal. Let's not talk about that one. All right, later.
Bye.